This was a fun one, Kyle. Clay Cooley, we see him from those folksy ads, but the reality of it is he's got 22 dealerships. He's got thousands of people. And this was a fun one in the sense of everything from doing those folksy, crazy advertisements, but all the way to how he thinks about a business that is changing and evolving very rapidly.
He's a self-made man. He's a family man. He's now got his family actually involved in the business. And actually, he walked us through really how the automotive world has evolved. It's progressed. It's changed. We touched EVs. We touched on how private equity, institutional capital has come into the automotive world. Touched on how manufacturers and dealerships, that relationship works. We got a really in-depth view of cars.
I've enjoyed all our conversations. I really enjoyed that one.
Really good. Take a listen. Welcome to Intersections, where we take a multi-generational look at the critical issues facing America. Tom, today's going to be really fun.
This is going to be very fun. Clay Cooley. Clay is an entrepreneur. You know him from the car dealerships, but I'd also say a business person that's got a very wide empire of those dealerships and all the people involved. So we're going to touch on all those different things. But probably first, we ought to get it out of the way.
Got it. Give us the tagline, Clay.
Shop
me first, shop me last, either way, come see Clay.
Shop me first, shop me last, either way, come see Clay.
I love it.
And everybody in North Texas understands that one, and several other places in the nation too. Hey, tell me, first of all, you've kind of dedicated your career, decades, to cars. What is it about cars that initially got you involved? So you went from supermarket as a kid, working in a supermarket, but then you got involved in cars, and that's been the case now for decades.
For a while now. I started selling cars when I was 20. I worked at a grocery store from the time I was 14 until about 20. And I moved up when I was 16 from a sacker to a drug clerk, which stocked the shelves. It wasn't like drugs, but, stocked the shelves. And then my manager and bosses of mine have always been sort of the guys, my mentors and helped me. But he got a store in Plano, and I just got out of high school working at the grocery store, and he asked me to come be his lobby manager. So I came up here, and I was a lobby manager at a new Skaggs Alpha Beta store in Plano. And so I was there. And I don't know, maybe a year and a half into it, I thought, hell, there's more to life in Dallas, Texas in the grocery store. So I got a job at R.O. Evans, Buick Pontiac GMC, and started selling new trucks. So that was sort of how I got into the car business.
And what was your first experience at that Buick Pontiac GMC? Like, walk me through a day in, day out. You're new on the lot. How'd it go?
My only thing I remember one or two things, but I was probably only there a week. About 3 days into being there, they raided the place, and everybody ran. But a guy named Zuma Aaron McCorder and me, and he had only been there a day longer than me. And so they raided, everybody ran, and the cop goes, "Hey, you kids shouldn't be here," So
Hold on, why did they raid you?
They were looking for gambling and some other stuff, but everybody, back, we're talking a long time ago, and some of the car salesmen probably weren't the most stand-up guys. So everybody ran, and the owner's son ran too. He was in the building too. But anyway, it's but it's a small world. And he came in about 2 days later, and he says, "Come on, I got us a job down the street." And we went to work at Trophy Nissan when they were on Northwest Highway. And I guess I worked there for 4 years. And,
do you remember the first vehicle you ever sold?
I never sold anything at R.O. Evans, but I did. The first thing I sold was a Datsun 2000. I think it was like 1999, and so that was a long time ago.
That's right.
Yeah. The one thing I still remember about Trophy, and I had a great time there. Really, really good time. And Mr. Crew owned it there, and in 1984. The Maxima came out with an inline six and computer dash, and it had a sticker price of $10,000. And we thought we were never going to sell another car. Now they're over 100. It's so time does change.
Yeah, of course. So grew up in Lubbock, and then, as you mentioned, moved to North Texas. Looking back on those days, growing up in Lubbock, working in the supermarket, what's what did you take with you that's impacted the way that you've thought about business and the way you've built a very successful business since then?
So I was born in Dallas. In third grade, we moved to Lubbock. I'm giving you more than you want to hear, but anyway. But in third grade, we moved to Lubbock, and my dad was in the cotton business, and he had been broke once or twice. And then the last time he went broke, my parents split up, and we were in Lubbock then. And so we moved from where we lived across town, which no big deal. And that was when I started working, and I always took half my check home to the house to help,
Right.
But I had more money than anybody did, so I had a great life, because I got half my check. So we did that, and then I had a younger brother, and an older sister, and then like I said, I lived in Lubbock until I moved, which is right out of high school. The only reason I got out of high school is they didn't want me back. It wasn't, But from learning at the grocery store, I worked with a bunch of kids my age. Everybody worked, so nobody felt bad about anything. We didn't really realize we were missing anything by not working, and worked with really good people. And in Lubbock, most of the people that worked, like with the cashiers and everything, they were going to college to tech, right? So you got to see a lot of good people, and the grocery store business, the restaurant business, and anything you're really doing in sales, you get off work at the same time a bunch of people your age get off work, so there's always stuff going on. So, but I learned how to deal with people, and that probably helped me more than anything, dealing with the people.
I mentioned in introduction, people think of you as an entrepreneur, but it's a big operation. How many dealerships and how many folks are in your organization today?
We have 22 stores and 2,000. How's that? It could be 1,800, could be 2,100, depending on the week or two.
So big operation, but the first operation after you worked at a couple of dealerships in the sales side, your wife finally got you to the point of saying it's now or never.
That's right.
And you're going to have to go out on your own.
Yeah.
But that wasn't one of the dealerships you have today. That's a little bit different operation, right?
It is. My last job, and
tell us about what the first Clay Cooley was.
Yeah, the first, maybe repossessed vehicles, something like that.
Okay, so what happened was, my last job, I was a GSM at Toyota Dallas, and I'd been there 9 years. And that was where I got all my experience. I was a used car manager, then I was a GSM, and the owner was barely there, and the general manager was barely there. So I really, I learned how to do things. And so I was there 9 years, and I got tired of it, okay? And we were so Gulf States has a 5-state area, Gulf States Toyota, and they're a distributorship for Toyota. There's only 2 distributorships in the United States. There's Southwest in the Florida region and Gulf States. Well, we were on an allocation, but the store I was at was number 2 or number 3 in Gulf States Toyota every month. And so, we did a bunch of volume, and I just got tired. I went home and one day, and my wife says, "Hey, if you're going to do it, you might as well do it now." So I said, "You're right." And we moved into a new house, had our last son, Chance, and I quit my job all within about a 3-week period. So, but I couldn't. The reason, we're talking about the
risk taking.
That's real. I don't know if I'd even thought about it. Risk taking. It wasn't. I never thought about it. But I had confidence that I could sell cars. So I couldn't get a big enough floor plan to buy used cars. So I got banks to let me remarket their repos, and that was how I supplemented my inventory. And I did that with Arcadia. A guy named Phil Sura, I still remember him. He's the one that let me do that and really helped me. And then Founders Bank, they gave me a small floor plan. And then I was selling myself out of business, and because I couldn't keep it going fast enough. And when you're in the used,
couldn't get the inventory coming in.
Well, didn't have the money, because what happens is so I was there, and then the city of Carrollton, they were building George Bush Freeway right beside it. I was in the old Travis Boat Center, and they were fighting me. And we won where I could stay, but they were giving me tickets and everything. So I bought the old Red Lobster down on Composite Drive. And so I bought that, and I moved down there. And a guy named Pete Bullman bought Richard Ramey, who was a banker, by to see me, and he gave me a bigger floor plan and really got me catapulted. And so I was selling a lot of cars in. And when you're a used car dealer, you have so you come in, you sign a contract, I send the bank to the bank, they approve it. I have to get the title from the bank, pay off the car, prefect the lien, send it to them, then they send me a check. So it takes a long time.
Yeah, long time to cash.
So you're working capital needs.
Capital intensive.
Yeah, right. It's you got to have a lot of it. So I did that, and I was on and then I bought and I was doing some buy here, pay here, where I would finance it themselves. I got $1 million education. I worked for a company called Your Carco at one time. We didn't go through all my career. But anyway, but it turned into AmeriCredit.
Oh, sure.
And so they did the bricks and mortar, and now they're GM Financial, but they did the bricks and mortar to get into the business, and then they went to AmeriCredit, and they went to the stores and stuff. They were Cash America, really smart guys, and they really, really gave me a great education. And so I had an educational buy here, pay here, and then at Toyota,
you really had the financing side and the sales side,
financing and the sales, and that was how I grew my business. I would do I would finance the cars myself, and then when I needed to buy something, I would sell off a batch of paper. And I just kept selling the paper, and that was how I grew. It funded my cash flow. It did everything for me. And then so I was down on Composite Drive, right? And I was selling 300 cars a month, and I had I bought the steak and ale so I could have more room to park cars.
So you bought a Red Lobster
and then a steak and ale. And then I ended up buying the Trail Dust too. But anyway, I needed the space to park the cars. So a guy, Frank Mahopoulos probably. Yeah. And so his brother and his cousin were in the car business, and they had bought Westway Imports, and they had Kia and Isuzu, and they came over and sold me Kia. So I bought that Kia store, and I couldn't borrow any money. No, I never have been able to borrow any money.
This is 2001?
2001. This is exactly what it was. It was 2001, and I had and I didn't know what I was going to do, and I was about 300 short to close the deal. So the day before, I went up to our office, and I ran $300,000 worth of credit cards on to close the deal. But after that, they couldn't stop me. Because after that, when you're a new car franchise, you send the contract in with a letter of guarantee, and then they fund you. Then you do the lien later. Because a franchise, if I go out of business, the manufacturer's bringing somebody else in, so they know the title.
Exactly.
They know it's going to get handled. So all of a sudden, I thought I was never going to see another poor day.
So it was really opportunistic then. You mentioned Kia, Isuzu.
Yeah.
It was opportunistic. You didn't go look for those. It was that was what was available that you did.
That's what you did.
Did you have to get approved by manufacturers?
Right.
No issue on that?
No, well, I was pretty qualified to run a new car franchise, and it was a D franchise. So at the time, so I know that didn't mean anything. But anyway, it was it wasn't a premier franchise. Sure. So they wanted. Well, I was top 20 in the nation the whole time I had Isuzu. Yeah. So I mean, they like me. I do a lot of volume. So
you didn't go to college necessarily for your car education. Obviously, you've told the story of how you've learned as being kind of a sponge.
Yeah.
Just talk us through that entrepreneurial spirit for kind of the younger audience of just being in the position and not looking ahead to the finish line, but being where you are, being present, and learning from the people that are around you.
Well, I think a lot of people don't live in the present, and you have to live in the present. And when the opportunity actually does come, you have to make the decision right then. Hey, am I going to do this or not? And hey, I have failed more times than anybody, right? But I continue to try. Because, everything you do is not going to work out. But that doesn't make you the person you are. Actually, I think about my failures more than I think about my wins.
Okay, so one big failure, the biggest failures. What have they been?
I mean, I've sold dealerships because I can't make them work. I've bought the wrong franchise, done the wrong, bought the wrong thing because I've never. So I have different franchise. I deal with the masses. Mm-hmm. When I say that, I mean I deal with guys that family people. I don't have a luxury car franchises. I don't. They cost a lot of money, and I don't have any money. So it's. I don't see. Well, those things go for so much money. I mean, like they 10 times earnings. Yeah. Well, hell, 10 times. That's a lot of money. I mean, why don't I just buy 2 or 3 of them for cheaper?
There was a luxury car dealership here in North Texas that went for $1 billion.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I mean, hey, just because I learned one thing. Just because you can borrow the money doesn't mean you need it. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Because it's hard to pay back. So, but you got to take. When things happen, you got to do it, and instead of just sitting there and not. And you can't worry about the failures.
So, mindset wise, what's different about running 22 dealerships, couple thousand people in the volume business, kind of basic cars, vis-a-vis the mindset of being in that luxury car business?
Well, I think the luxury car business is different. So they sell a lot of cars too, but it's a different clientele, right? They, when I was at Toyota, they talked about, well, you can buy a Mercedes or you can buy a Toyota Corolla, right? And they make a lot more money on the Mercedes than the Toyota Corolla. Which car do you think's the best? Well, it's a Toyota Corolla. It's a better car.
Yeah.
So the point is, it's not the car you're buying. So these interest rates now, right? I'm going to give you a perfect example. Yeah. So right now, pre-COVID, the interest rates were probably averaging 4.9. And on a new car, and now they're 8.9. So if you're buying a $30,000 car, it's $100 a month. So that's $1,200 a year. And if you got 2 cars, which most people do, that's another $2,400 a year is coming out. And that's what the problem is. It's just you were talking about that's what you have to deal with. You just got to figure out. So now we just take any deal we can because I've been through high interest rates because our floor plan rates are high now. So I've been through high interest rates before, and you don't want to sit on your inventory and pay the interest. So it's but you can't, but I think the adversity, learning how to do the job and then learning how to get through failures, that's what makes people the people they are.
Learning more from the failures than the success.
Yeah. And I think some of the problem now is the instant gratification that people need, so they don't want to put in the time to really learn a job, and then we promote them up, and then they fail. Well, they don't want to go back and learn some more; they just leave.
So that's the hardest. You said a number of times. I want to get this in because he's talking about. It's the journey that excites you,
yes,
and it's the journey that's important to you, not necessarily the end point,
right? Yeah.
I assume that goes in with what you just said.
Yeah. Well, the journey. Yeah. The journey is a lot better than the destination. So I've always worn a white shirt and I have a tie on most of the time. During the summer when it gets real hot, I might not. But anyway, and I went there for a while where and this is a journey, the figuring things out that you don't really know or you don't figure out. But I mean. I went there for a while where I went casual for a couple of years. And when I went casual, all my guys went casual. And
you're the leader.
You set the example, and then all of a sudden I saw, that I didn't think we were doing as well as we should be doing. And so I went back to a dress code and, started doing better. And if you look at my stores, the stores that do the best have the best dressed team in the store. It's just a fact. And but it's because the guy at the top is setting the tone. And you made a comment about, how, stores go bad and stores don't. Well, the thing is, when you grow too fast and you don't have a bench, it really hurts you because they don't have your culture.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been in business now for 28, 29 years.
So picking up on where Tom took us, you talked about organizational culture and kind of structure. How do you pick those top brass? How do you pick your leaders in the stores? What are the qualities, characteristics that you look for? So
we try to promote. We used to hire guys from outside. We'd have when we had 5 or 6 stores, I could run them all myself because I could hit, half of them, most of them in a day. I could talk. And then we got up to 12 or 13, and then we went out of town, and I was traveling more.
Austin, St. Louis,
Cincinnati. And because what happens is the manufacturers come to you and they say, hey, buy this store here.
Mm-hmm.
Says, okay, fine, And I found out that these stores outside of Texas were a lot cheaper, but there's a reason. So, because the people outside of Texas don't have the work ethic.
Mm-hmm.
The economy's not as good. You don't make as much money. So I sold everything outside and I'll buy them here, right? And so anyway, what I was going to say was I have these guys, and I used to hire from outside, but I don't really know them when they're coming in. They don't know us. We stick them into a new organization, and sometimes it works. We like to we let guys have some autonomy, but if they're not doing what we feel like they should, they have very little. How's that? And because I work 6 days a week. I'm there, and so now we bring guys up internally, from salespeople, F&I managers, whatever, bring them to the desk, and then we move them up. We send them to school. We send a lot of our guys to school getting ready to be a general manager. How's that? So we do spend a ton of time with the guys, and we invest. We have trainers in-house that train. We think training and culture is everything. And we're real big into, used to, like the only thing I never worried about past Friday, because all I had to do was cover payroll every Friday. Mm-hmm. And then I'd start again, and then we got a little bigger, and, and we started in looking at it. And if a customer bought a car, it's a legally binding contract. They signed it to protect themselves and me. They wouldn't want me coming back and getting the car. So I sort of, wanted you to stay in the car. And then I thought about it, and I thought, they give me bad CSI. They talk bad to all their friends about me, and I want people smiling when they see me. I'm a happy guy. I don't want a bunch of negativity around me. And so we said, okay, let's let them bring their car back if they don't like it.
The family guarantee.
And that's how that
Fascinating.
was born. And
were you the first one that did that?
No, I was probably not. I don't. I knew people. A lot of the public companies will let you bring the car back, but I'm probably the first one that ever actually put it out there and say,
and what's the offer? What's the rule?
So here's the deal. So because what used to happen. So what happened was, we had talked about how I got to the point, and my guys, we said, hey man, they'd call and say, what do you want to do? So just let them bring the car back. And then we were thinking about it, and we thought, hey, we're letting these people bring the car back, and then after you tell them they can bring it back, what we were finding was they have to have a car. They just don't like that car. How's that? So we said, hey, listen, advertise it and just let them all do it.
And benefit of it. Put it out there as a competitive advantage.
And our business went up by doing that. And all we did was just advertise something that we were already doing. And, and I've always
So how'd you look at the economics then of returning a car? Kind of the old adage that, depreciation is when it leaves the showroom floor.
Yeah. Well, so we just figured out we're not getting that many back. So it doesn't matter. How's that? Does that make sense? I mean, if we were,
it was the comfort level. I can bring it back. Not that I will, but I can't. But I strengthen the relationship.
That's right. That's right. And so they're happy, and so everybody's happy. And so, like I said, so we started advertising it, and it really helped. And it actually gives people a good feeling too. Yeah. So
the seller's remorse goes away.
That's right. If they know they can bring it back. And it's funny because a
Or the buyer's remorse, I should say.
Yeah, buyer's remorse. I have some seller's remorse sometimes too. A woman will buy a car without her husband or significant other, where a man won't 90% of the time.
Really?
Yeah. So it always with the guy, you go, take it home.
The key is the woman?
Yeah, the key's always a woman. Well, at my house, I've always taken my check home to my wife, and then she, handles the bills. And I think it's like that at a lot of houses. Hey,
I've got to get one. You went over something and you went real fast. I got to come back. You said that dealerships in Texas, much more profitable, better dealerships.
Mm-hmm.
Elaborate a little bit on that. And
I just think
you kind of walked away from some of the ones that are out of Texas.
Yes. Yeah. So, you fight, it's, customers are the same, I think, anywhere. How's that? So employees are a lot of the difference. Well, when I go to a new town, normally the store's not doing as good as it should, but I don't know anybody there to run it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm probably not hiring the best people. And it's always a struggle. And I was spending a lot of my time, and I come home every night, no matter what. So I was traveling 2 or 3 days a week, but I'm not the guy that wants to go and stay. I mean, I'm coming home, and so I just couldn't, I never couldn't make them, and they did fine, but not what I was expecting. How's that? And I was going over constant turnover, and then I was sending my guys down there, and they would stay, but they didn't want to live there. So it was sort of a, so the economies are like,
But the economics of the business then, so if we look across the country, Texas, are dealerships more successful economically than they are in Ohio versus California? So where are good places to have dealerships and where are bad places?
So it's sort of the smile belt. Anywhere it's sunny, Florida, Texas, up to Arizona, California does a ton of business, it's, but the point is that's down here,
So Northeast is challenging.
Yes. Well, everybody knows my deal is if it's got a snowplow on the asset list, I'm not buying. So,
but if we talk to the manufacturers or dealers across the country, they would basically say that too, that dealerships in the Sunbelt are more successful economically than others?
I'm not sure you want to say economically, but the volume is less. So I say that. Michigan sells a lot of cars because they got all the manufacturers up there. So they got the employee pricing and everybody buys cars. I mean, you got certain pockets for different reasons, but in that Sun Belt we're talking about, that's where everybody wants to come.
So what drives the economics of a dealership? Is it the sales? Is it the service? And how has that changed over the decades that you've been in the business?
A lot. It's, we've got systems for everything now. And used to, we had an index card box with the stock numbers and the pricing on them. Now we have computer systems for everything, for CRM tools. We've got everything. It's a lot. So there's 4 departments in a store. There's new and used cars, right? So the sales.
Yeah.
Then you got parts, service, and then the F&I, the finance.
So where do you make?
Yeah, where do you make money?
In your dealerships, which are volume oriented? Where are you making the money? And does it change dealership to dealership?
Yes. Yes.
Interesting.
Right. Yeah. It changes from make to make. It's a little bit of everything. So it's just sort of funny. But the service, you want service to be at. And I'm not there. I'm not the best at service, but they, you want to be at 80% absorptions, which means that service will pay for 80% of your bills. Okay. And so that's why the luxury cars do so well, because they might get up to 110% absorption. So you see, because it costs more. So back there. So
service is
economic. Big part of everybody's
It's almost like the luxury cars were built to be serviced.
That's exactly right.
So that they can make the money.
That's right.
Fascinating.
So,
and what changes manufacturer to manufacturer or dealership to dealership?
Yes.
That pushes those economics differently. Because I would think that a Toyota, a Kia, Honda, they'd roughly be the same, but you're saying maybe not.
Maybe not. It's maybe not. It's everybody's a little different. So COVID sort of changed a lot of stuff up from the manufacturer's point. They figured out, we don't have to give all this money to the dealerships because the manufacturer pays for warranty work on the cars. They pay for a lot of stuff, but we pay them for a lot of stuff. But they give us, and I'm giving you more information you want to know. But I mean, like on an invoice, you get a little co-op money for advertising. You get floor plan interest for X number of days, depending on the manufacturer. You get all kinds of stuff from the manufacturer. And before COVID,
they still have that 2% at the end of the year based on cars you sold. I know they used to do that.
No, they changed.
Back in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah, they changed that.
You got 2% back.
Yeah, no, they changed that up a while back. So what they do now, it's called we call it incentive money. So they'll give you some volume bonuses, or they'll give you X number of dollars a car, that you sell. So they change that up, and that's the biggest thing now. They change that up monthly. And the guys that stick with the program are the ones that sell the most cars because a dealer can get a business model and say, hey, I'm going to run for the volume. So they change that.
Is it all volume oriented?
Most of it is, yes.
Give me the breakdown. Are you selling more new cars or used cars? And does that depend on dealership or maker model?
Today we're pushing new cars. Okay. And it does change over time, and we sort of push.
Because the used car numbers during COVID just went through
they went through the roof. Yeah.
They did. But so what's happened to the used car business is you used to could buy a used car back a book, okay, pre-COVID. And then they quit making cars, and what happened was they didn't make any fleet cars, and so the used car business really dried up, and the guys that were trading for the cars weren't taking them to the auction and selling them. So all the used cars went sky high because there was no new cars. Oh. So we think the used car market's going to be a little tough in that aspect through 26. And we think after 26, all the stuff will start coming back.
The new car volume came back into the game and pushed the prices down on using.
Yeah. So what? Okay. So let's just say Nissan has $2,000 on an Altima. Okay. So what that means is that the used Altima is worth $2,000 less because there's $2,000 off on a new one. When there's no money on an Altima, that means the used one's worth $2,000 more. Yeah. And like during COVID, everybody thought, everybody's paying so much for these cars. But what they didn't realize, they were even getting more for their trade-in. So it was a good time for the customer, but nobody wants to talk about it. Interesting. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. When you really get into the nuts and bolts of it, there's a lot of different things going on all the time. But when the manufacturers have taken a lot of things away from the dealer, but they'll come back. They always do. It's ebbs and flows.
We started out kind of kiddingly when I did the here we go, the shop me.
Yeah,
that. You've sold a lot of cars, but more people really know you from the ads and that. Those ads are pretty folksy, probably not what you would see coming out of Procter & Gamble or General Mills or those folks. I assume they're pretty effective, though.
Real effective. We were going to change the slogan, years ago, and we thought, what are we doing here? We spent all, we've been advertising the same thing, and we've always done a bunch of Spanish language, and my kids have always done them, and so I mean we've been a big advertiser for local TV, and it's really paid off well.
Where did the slogan come from?
So the story is, and I can't remember yesterday, but the story is that my wife and the ad guy and my youngest son, we were in Hawaii going from island to island, and they came up with it on a plane ride over there, and that was how. And that was a long time ago. We've been using that forever. I mean, forever, and so the advertising has changed so much too. We used to do. When I started, we did liners. You remember liners in the paper? And, so I did liners in the paper, and I did 30-minute infomercials. and I did those all the time. And back then I was paying $7.50 to $12.50 for them, right? And so I did a bunch of infomercials, and we did those, and that was how I was getting my customers. When I left Toyota Dallas, it was everybody wanted a new Toyota, and I thought I was going to get the same customers, same banks. Even the banks wouldn't do business with me when I went on my own. You think, you think how it's going to be, and it never is. And so I sort of reverted to subprime, which I can do anything. It doesn't matter. Sell a new one, sell a used. And I'd spent most of my business in the used car, as a used car manager and used car salesman. But anyway, so I was doing the liners, and then I started doing the infomercials, and I was really doing a bunch of subprime business. And so I ran that for a while. And in 2009, most everything changed because the banks went under, and all the subprime bank financing went away. Yeah. So and then I sold half my stores in, and I think I came out with 4 or 5 stores through then. And after that, I started buying A franchises. So now I have the A franchises, Chevy, Cadillac, Kia, Hyundai,
so
Volkswagen.
Do you think you rebuilt your business?
Oh, absolutely.
GFC?
I've changed two or three times. I've rebuilt them. I've changed over the 28 years. We've adapted 2 or 3 times because you have to. I mean, if you don't, you go away. Right. And so, but yeah, it's so all my franchises are good now.
Just to put a period behind the advertising. Again, if you look at advertising on television, the car advertising is very different. It seems like it's more folksy, not just your ads, but other ones, versus what we see for nearly every other product you can come up with. Yeah. Why is that? And then from a business standpoint, how do you measure the effectiveness of that?
So here's the deal, okay? So all of the outside ads you see, the national ads, so they're branding. So they're selling their products in 50 states, and they're branding, so you think about it. So the local advertising that you see is tier 2. And we have LMAs, which we put money in, and then the North Texas Chevy dealers advertise, the Kia dealers advertise, everybody advertises. And those are sort of slicker ads than the dealership will run. And they run national because they're still basically handled by the manufacturer, the OEM. We call them OEMs, and
original equipment.
Yeah, and so they're handling them, right. So we have no say. But the dealer, they run an ad, a price, different things. And I used to run pricing and stuff, and then I figured out I'm not sure anybody, because what happens is when people come in, they don't really come in and buy the car they're coming in for. They don't know what they want because they really don't know the cars. Right. But if you get them there and you do your job, then you show them different cars. So anyway, so I went to branding ourselves. So it's Mi Casa, it's Su Casa in Spanish, and it's Come See Clay in English. And so we've always taglined everything, and then we invite them in, and then we take care of them after they come in.
Okay, so you've got a family business. You've got, I think, few of the children are involved. Yep. Talk about that just from a kind of growth perspective for you, not only managing people, but now you've got management of kids, and kids are involved in the business. How have the dynamics shifted, and how have they learned the business? I'm sure they were in your lap going to dealerships when they were young, and they've kind of grown up in it, but just give us the dynamics of that.
Yeah, so all my kids have grown up on a car lot. That's how they all know Spanish, because they all, worked at the car lot, washed cars, and we probably do high 40s, low 50, percent of our business is Hispanic. And,
half of it.
So everybody has worked all the way up through, so they understand it all. And, it's really helped. And, like I said, they've got education. So they're doing a lot of things different that I probably never would have done because I don't know. How's that? If that makes sense. So,
yes.
And, they help us on the processes. We're doing AI in a lot of our things, and we're actually doing it in-house instead of using other firms. And we're
So where are you using AI in a dealership?
so now we're doing a lot of the back office.
Yeah.
So, we're doing everything that's mundane to the employees.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? That they don't, it takes up a lot of time, but it's basic stuff. And as they tell me, a lot of the stuff we're automating is not even AI. It's just computer programming. But so we're doing all of that, and we're going to go through the whole systems and do it. And I'm not sure we're going to cut that many employees, but we're looking for a better outcome.
And almost more efficiency.
That's it.
And I was with somebody with Toyota, and they were talking about AI again from the OEM standpoint. And they said they used to have 100 people that kind of did the planning 30 days out. So kind of sales, the distribution, all of the manufacturing, that sort of thing. That 100 people over 30 days is now 15 minutes with AI.
Yeah, some of the stuff is, I can't believe they could do it as well as they do it. And it's basic stuff, but but it makes the guys do their job better too. It's you heard me say I never planned past Friday, right? Well, I was in I used to be on the Nissan National Dealer Advisory Board, and we went to a meeting, and top guy then was a guy named Jose Munoz, and now he's running Hyundai, and he had the Mexican dealers up there, and there's only like 5 families that own all the dealerships in Mexico, and and they own manufacturing banks, they own everything, but they're hundreds of year families. It's not like they're. And I listened to those guys, and I didn't know. You don't know what you don't know until you hear it, and I think it's hard sometimes to get into the right place where you actually can hear it. But anyway, I was I just happened to go to the meetings. They had me on the board, and I didn't go to all the meetings, but I happened to go to this one. And they had these guys, and they were talking about, and I'm telling you this because you said they had all these guys working 30 days out. Well, these guys, they plan 5 years out on what's going to happen. And it really shocked me, right? And then, I was probably asked more questions than I ever asked because normally I don't say anything in these meetings, but I was shocked. And basically they told me, we know we're going to be here in 5 years. We know we're going to be in the business in 5 years. We have employees, and we do the best we can to make our business better no matter what the economy or the rates are. And I thought that was amazing, them thinking that. And now we've started planning out like that where we think, hey, forget this year. We're going to make it. We might not like the years. There's good and there's bad years,
sure,
but we're going to be fine. We're going to, I'm not being, it's just.
Absolutely, yeah.
It just, So we've started looking at it like that. And I think the kids have really helped me with that more than anything. And I think I'm not sure if I didn't have the kids, I'd still be growing. How's that?
So what are they in charge of now?
So Sierra is involved in the office and all kinds of things like that. She handles the money, the cash, all of that stuff in the office, does all kinds of stuff. And Chase, he's you might call him the CEO. I don't know what but he runs most of the stores. I don't have him. He deals with the manufacturer, so I don't have to, and stuff like that. So we're really ingrained from the top up. We used to have a pretty big corporate corporate staff, and we sort of got rid of everybody. And now we just have us and a CFO, a director of accounting, and a director of HR, and that's it. So we sort of do everything.
So it was a conscious decision to kind of pull back on the overhead and
it wasn't so much overhead. If we were having to do the job anyway, we might as well just do it ourselves. We're not sure that, it's like now when I hire a guy, well, the first thing he does is he hires a guy to do the job I hired him to do. So it was sort of like that. We hired these guys and we were having to push them to do what we needed to do. So we're looking at some stuff now to put it where it'll go into perpetuity. You know what I'm saying? But we're just mapping it out so it'll work better for us.
So what is the plan for expansion? Is there expansion on the horizon? Do you want more stores? How do you look to grow?
Yeah, we're buying more stores.
Great.
We bought a store last month. I got another one. So yeah, we're buying. It's just, as things come up in the areas when we're, it's where we're buying.
And the acquisitions, unlike maybe 10 years ago, I'm thinking of Don Davis. You bought a group.
Yes.
Kind of an equivalent.
We can afford a group now.
Equivalent Clay Cooley, and you're buying that. So you brought in a number of different stores.
Well, that was 3 stores, right?
Yeah.
That was 3 stores. And we were really happy with that. And, I used to, bought what I could afford. Now we have a little, we're lucky and we can look at different things.
So if you go out 5 years, how important is scale? I mean, do you look at it and say, okay, for me to be effective, successful, I've got to grow because I've got to get the scale to be able to compete with a different competitive picture?
I think it actually helps between me and you on the scale because we have a centralized accounting office. We have a centralized marketing office. We have, it really helps. If you don't, it's probably a little hard. We have guys that are working the vendors on the bills all the time. I mean, and if you're one store, it's a little hard.
He can't, but I can remember where it was really an entrepreneur would have one store and that was it. And they'd have one brand.
That's right.
But now you've got CarMax having come into it. You've got
Carvana.
Clay Cooley. You've got Carvana.
Yep.
So it seems like there's really a consolidation in the industry that's taking place that really kind of says, I'd better get to scale or I'm not going to be around.
That's exactly right. They've got, I'm not sure what people call it, private equity, family office, hedge fund, whatever it is. So those guys have been buying in and that's what's growing a lot of it.
And how is that changing the business? I mean, if you think about it from the economics, customer quality, et cetera, PE's come into a lot of different businesses. It's a mixed picture. What's the picture of PE coming into car dealerships? And in effect, what they're doing is doing rollups. They're just
that's exactly what they're doing
and doing the old rollup game that you've seen in a lot of industries.
That's exactly.
But they've kind of gotten into the car business. How is it changing the business? For the good or bad?
So normally they're keeping the people there that they're buying it. They're keeping 25%, running it. But the one thing that we see it's really raised the price of the franchises. So everybody's paying a lot more money for them.
Competition to get that franchise.
Yeah.
And
Our multiple.
the money, it's like shocking what they'll pay. But they have all this money. It doesn't mean anything to them, you know?
When you've got funds of hundreds of billions of dollars, you got to put someplace.
So that's what's ran the price up of the stores. Used to, they didn't cost hardly anything. And
are they doing a better job with the customer, or is the customer being better served by Clay Cooley, who's, as you said, there every 6 days?
Yeah, so I'm in the community. I'm part of the community. We live in the community. We're part of these communities and have been. Okay, and and I'm not talking bad about any of those guys because I don't really know I know guys that have sold and run the stores, but I don't know who their partners are. And the guys I know are great guys.
Yeah, but the reality is if you sold tomorrow, the Clay Cooley that's working for a private equity firm is not the Clay Cooley.
I don't
that's
think
there
they
today.
want me. I don't know. They probably don't want me helping everybody that comes in with a little money for the little league team or all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because they're more worried about how much money they're making.
Yeah.
And and don't get me wrong, profit's not a dirty word.
Absolutely.
But you can't just, hey, if all you're doing is taking, at some point you're going to have a reckoning day. Yeah. And I think that's some of the issue, But
so let's talk about the community for a second. Clay Cooley, there's Carl Sewell, obviously Sewell Automotive. There's some other.
I don't know if you can use my name in the same as you use Mr. Sewell's name.
I know.
But
talk about the competition just locally in Dallas. What are the relationships like? Are there people that you've looked up to over the past 2 decades as you've grown your business?
Absolutely. I mean, it's so people don't realize it, but car dealers like each other. My competition, is not, another car dealer. My competition is the guy that's beside me, and I like them. You know what I'm saying? It's there's plenty for everybody. When we all talk and I probably know most of the guys in Dallas. Personally, I've grown up here. I know, I know what I'm saying. So it's, It's I mean, and they know me. So, but like I said, we all get along fine.
Is the dealership model changing? I mean, one of the things that you look at is Tesla's now come in, Rivian, a number of those folks who are coming in really with the idea that they want to get rid of the dealers, sell direct for lack.
Yeah.
You mentioned Carvana, a little bit different game, but still doing things that are very, very different. Is the dealership model changing?
You know, everybody thinks it is. I mean, you're talking. I don't think it's going to change in my lifetime. How's that? You know, the EV comes in. And, you know, and the thing about a dealer, me especially, I don't care what you buy. I'm going to sell you what you want. If you want an electric car, hey, man, I got some to sell. If you want a gas car, I've got some to sell. So, you know, everybody said it was changing for the EV, but most of the EVs were being sold by incentive money, cheap.
Yeah. Tax cuts, tax breaks.
I mean, all this stuff. I mean, I think.
And arguably, they weren't selling the way the manufacturers at least expected it, or the government wanted it to.
Right. Well, only reason the manufacturers did it is because of the cafe rules for the game. And the only reason they did it, so, you know, anytime the government's involved, it doesn't work. I'm not saying that bad. It's just a fact. I watch it. So I'm not. I think the biggest problem is, and I'm telling you this because I see it, and most people would never see it, right? But if you take an EV that you didn't buy from a franchise in to get it fixed, it's a nightmare.
Yeah.
Where do you go, and how long is it going to be there? And so that's just, I think that's your problem. It's not the customer will figure that out. Right? Because if they take their car in and it's there for 3 months, well, you got a problem. So
how successful do you think EVs are going to be? I mean, again, big push for all the environmental reasons, government push, manufacturers ran hard. General Motors, Ford, whole list of them. Yeah. Big move. Volvo says by 2030, they're not going to sell anything except. I'm not sure that's the case anymore, but that was the talk a couple of years ago. Now, all of a sudden, administration comes in and says, those cafes, those are gone. Those regulations are gone. So where is this big move on EV that was written about 2 years ago? Where's that going to be in a couple of years? You're the one that's selling them. What are the customers telling you?
Oh, I mean, they're not coming in asking for them. How's that? I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's not like they're. I mean, it's like I said, I get more info than most people. The regular citizen, but I get, market, RDR reports every day from all the manufacturers we have. And I mean, I see the EVs being sold and they're not that many. So
and I assume they've got to go down. I mean, in fact, I think it's Sunday that we lose the $7,500. That was the big, you touched on a moment, but the big push.
It's end of August.
Right. I think that ends end of August.
Correct.
And so now what's going to happen is the manufacturers are going to give the money to try to keep it going. And it's just, I mean, it just costs them a lot of money. I mean, I need the manufacturer to be very profitable. So they're better for me.
Does the manufacturer need you? And I go back a couple of years ago, it was coming out of COVID, granted, but Ford made a big push. Their CEO literally came out and said, our goal is to take the power away from the dealership. In inventory in a number of different ways. I get the impression that kind of fell flat because I haven't seen the changes at Ford dealerships that he talked about back then.
Yeah, I'm not sure why some people say what they say, but I agree with you. I mean, hey, I see it too. So, did
they find out they needed you?
Well, I mean, who else is going to take care of their customers?
So they have a relationship issue because let's say the manufacturers are at the top almost of the food chain in a certain sense, and the customer's kind of at the bottom, but everything's flowing from that top to bottom, and they need you to be the delegate representative almost on their behalf to go in and say, hey, I'm going to nurture you through the process, and then hopefully I'm going to get your return business. And so do the manufacturers, are they misguided in how they view the food chain and really who's most important?
No, I mean, everybody thinks the way they think. I mean, hey, the good thing about me is I don't worry
If
about
you're listening, unfortunately, his answer was the look on his face.
I mean, I don't, it's sort of amazing. So,
Well, what was,
you know,
your,
when
what
I
was
thought,
your reaction when Ford said that?
I laughed. I mean, what the hell? I mean, so during COVID, they were selling these cars and they weren't making enough of them, right? And so let's say, I'm just saying, I mean, and I'm not gonna name it, but a manufacturer, they make 10 cars, okay? Well, there's probably 3 of them they can sell online direct to the consumer. And this is what I think they want. So they want to sell those 3 cars online at MSRP direct to the consumer. And then they're going to sell they're going to send their bottom 5 cars. They might try to keep 5 and send me 5. That the demand is not there, or they don't make enough on the car to deal with it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, keep going.
And so they're going to say, well, we're going to sell these from the factory, drop it at your house, and then you take it to your local dealer to, fix it mechanically. And I think that's where they want to go, if you want my personal opinion. I mean, that's where I'd want to go if I was them.
Yeah.
I mean, I actually...
But that'd also be a model that didn't work. I mean, I can cherry pick the 3, but I'm still stuck with the 7, and I've got to deal with the 5.
Does that make sense?
So the problem goes back and forth. Yeah. But it does bring up an interesting question, Clay, that people aren't usually familiar with. And that is probably one of the strongest political forces, lobbying forces, in Austin, in Phoenix, in Albany, and I can continue on down all of the capitals, is the car dealerships. And in fact, in most of those states, it's actually illegal, or at least in effect illegal, for those manufacturers to deal directly. They have to go through dealers.
They do.
And that's the structure from a legal standpoint.
That's exactly right.
Talk a little bit about that political power and where that ensures the future is going to
Well, they'll have a fight. I mean, they've been trying to do it for a long time. And, and they can get one state to do it here or there. But, I mean, they'll have to get all 50 of them to do it if it's going to work for them. Does that make sense? I see I'm going to give you an example. So I have 3 Volkswagen stores, okay? And they came out with a Scout, which is an old Volkswagen model. And now they're saying it's a separate company and they're going to go direct to the consumer, right? I mean, so they're going to sell.
Opening up a new manufacturing facility in Tennessee or someplace. Yeah.
And everybody's fighting them on it. And I'm not sure how that's going to end, but the problem is they're getting a lot of, ill will. How's that? Is that a good way to put it? Ill will from their dealers, because they're saying, hey, we want you out there grinding it out for us, but we're going to take the good stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, when we talked about it.
So how are they getting around the laws that you and I just talked about?
They're saying doesn't have anything to do with Volkswagen. They say it's a separate company. So, Volkswagen's probably the biggest manufacturer, automobile manufacturer in the world. Yeah, I mean, they have all the brands and stuff and everything. Yeah. So they're just saying it's another brand they have. But I mean, I don't know. Well, first off, both of them are EVs, and they're going to be expensive. So if you want to spend, some money, I mean, building costs are pretty high now. So you only have 2 models. I don't know. I'm just saying, you're asking me my opinion. I mean, there's a lot more to it. We just built a new Genesis store. But we like Genesis. They got them some great models. We think they're going forward, right? So we spent the money.
That's also a step up from a lot of your other brands.
That's exactly right. So that's exactly right. And I mean, and when I was talking about, I mean, we've got some great cars. Our Volkswagen cars are great cars. Our Cadillacs are great. Our Genesis are great. Our Hyundais are great. I mean, we've got great cars. But all I'm saying is you have to be able to sell enough to support real estate now. Because I think that's the problem I see now in the car business is the young guys cannot break in to buy a new car franchise on their own without help. The real estate is so expensive. So if you got a guy that saves this money to buy, he's a good guy and he's making good money. Well, he's got to buy in a metro area so he can keep his income up. And, so it's now it's so high, it's hard to do. And
said another way, in the year 2025, we probably wouldn't have a Clay Cooley that could get in the business the same way that he did back in 1990 or 2001 with that first Isuzu.
I want you to know, and I've said that when people ask me, I tell them that I would have a hard time breaking in today like I did, poor boy in it. When I went on with the used car lot in 98 and then in 01, and I'm a like I said, I'm the luckiest guy in the world. I'm happy. My life's great. Love my job. Love my wife, my kids, everything. But if you think about it, in 98, I was a used car dealer. And then in 01, I was a new car dealer. Well, if I wouldn't have had the background, all the years I spent, going up and learning everything in the new car franchise, well, then I never would have been able. I wouldn't have gotten approved. You know what I'm saying? There just wouldn't have been any of that ever happen. That's what I'm saying. I came in at the time because the only reason I made it is because I was selling off buy here, pay here paper. I used to speak at the conferences on how to package the paper up. It's not so the point is, you're exactly right on that. It's a different world.
But that's, I think, a concern in America because we prize the entrepreneur. To be frank with you, we prize Clay Cooley. The idea that from your background, you came up, you willing to take the risk, as you pointed out at times in your life that could have been very tough. Built something that has generated value for you and the generations to come through your kids, and I'm sure your grandkids and that. But what we're really saying, and I think there's other industries that fall into it, is you couldn't do that today.
No.
You've almost lost the entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah, you can't. I think you got the spirit. I just think it's a little, I think I can get on a soapbox and tell you, all my grievances. But because I like the young kids. That's what, I work with young kids every day. It keeps me young. I know I might not look it, but I feel young. I'm still looking through 18-year-old eyes. How's that? But anyway, so you're exactly right, though. It's hard. And it's, and I don't think it's just a car business. I think it's a lot of businesses.
That was my point. I think it goes far, and I think that's one of the challenges. We clearly, as a nation, want to have that feel that one person can go off and make a difference.
And do it.
In a lot of industries, I think it's just becoming more difficult through private equity, through consolidation, whole host of different things. And I don't think there's one answer to it.
No, I told I was, we read a lot and talk a lot. And if you read, you know how it's going to end. And I was talking to somebody. I said, well, the people that are going to, everybody talks about a revolution coming. It's going to be the young men that do it because they don't see any hope for advancement in the world. And, you're talking about the school. These, education's cost $100,000 now. It's there's a lot of things. I probably got off on something I shouldn't have. But anyway, there's a lot of things that's out there that's something to think about.
There's a real challenge. If you look at the middle class, who is
haven't seen wage
folks that primarily are buying your cars, those wages for the last 40 years have fundamentally been flat on a real basis. Now, the upper picket, 0.1%, 1%, 10%, whatever, if you've had assets in a zero rate environment, that's been a terrific deal. As we were talking with Rob Kaplan a couple of months ago. But it's a tough situation if you're in the middle, and it makes it tougher for the folks that you deal with, and especially the young folks that want to buy homes.
Well, we're trying to figure out. So the salesman's pay plan is basically the same pay plan I had when I was selling cars. Okay, so we're talking from the 80s. It's all a percentage. Well, the cars have gone up
of the sale.
But the cars have gone up in price.
Right.
But the grosses actually came down. Go figure, how is that supposed to work? I was, shoot, when I met my wife, I was selling used cars. She was a day bartender at Fridays. We thought we were never going to have another bad day, but the point is, these kids now are.
How do you see the folks? We talk generational differences. I give Kyle a bad time. He gives me worse. How are the kids that are coming into your business, I say kids, but the young folks coming into your business now, how are they different from the folks that you employed when you were back at that Toyota dealership?
I think the biggest difference is, so I still think they're all good kids and they still want to work. They want a job. Everybody wants to feel good about themselves. And I really believe that, right? You can't just paint a wide brush. But I think there's so many, they have so many distractions in the world. And I've never been on social media ever and don't care to be. I mean, I was gonna do it, and everybody says, it just takes up your time, Clay. So I never did it. But I mean, these kids are on that phone all the time looking, a lot of them use TikTok and Facebook to advertise, and, it's great. But I'm just saying, I think so the biggest thing, they want instant gratification. They want to, come in and then be the boss in a year.
As opposed to
learning your job,
9
learning
years
the next
at
job.
Toyota dealership. Dirt lot, repossessed vehicles.
Well, there was a lot of other dealerships in between those too. So so it was. So I was in the car business at a dealership from 81 to 98. So 17 years in a dealership. Yeah. So I mean,
Kyle and I are is a little bit of a prelude, doing a piece just between the two of us, talking about kind of the different perceptions and views from a generational standpoint.
Yeah, it's when you have an instant gratification culture and a distraction culture combined, you're set up for no success. Just because I know in my generation, and definitely the generation below me, it's you're looking at your phone, you're trying to always figure out what everybody else is doing instead of being present with what you're trying to accomplish. And I think the entrepreneurial spirit in this country is men and women that have gone on and had an idea and done their thing, and they've focused in on exactly what they're trying to do and why they're trying to do it and set out the vision for that. And obviously, you've been a great example of that. So one thing I want to touch on before we close here is you and Lisa have been really involved in the Dallas community on the charity side. Just give the audience a peek into the causes that you care about and why you've been involved.
We make a living out of the community, and so we're involved in the community. And, my wife has been involved with Children's Cancer Fund, Crystal Charity. I mean, I can't even name them all. She's very involved, active, yearly. How's that? I mean, so we care about the community. And I think we as businessmen, I think we need to do more for the community, if that makes any sense.
Feel an obligation.
Yeah.
Give back.
Right. We have to. I mean, looking through time, somebody always, it used to be the church, and it was the feudal lord. They've always had people that were giving back, and I think the business community needs to. And so, yes, but we are very involved in the community.
That's great. Okay, one more time for the audience. Give us the slogan. Tell our people where they can find you.
Shop me first, shop me last. Either way, come see Clay.
We love it.
That's
amazing.
Great. Clay, we sure enjoyed it. It's been a good look, not only at you, but at the industry, an industry that, for most people, it's the second largest investment that they make. So, Clay, we appreciate it. And thanks for being with us, sir.